what is your niche? What are you bringing to the table to offer, right? This is an industry where, just like the loaves of bread on the shelf, there are many different brands, but what is it that you would offer that is so different from someone else that's offering the same thing? So definitely finding your niche,
Hmm.
evaluating what is for you and what is not for you. I think in this
Right.
industry we have a lot of influence in terms of what we need to charge and what we need to be doing, and policies and things that we need to set. But I'm a firm
Right.
believer that when I'm going to put a demand on a client, I also have to put a demand on myself. I
Hmm.
don't believe in being expensive but not giving clients that value. So I definitely would say, definitely find your niche. I would
Yeah.
say do your due diligence and making sure that when it comes to what you are going to demand from the clients, that you are willing to supersede that as the service provider. That's two important aspects for me.
Polish in my hand, I'm ready to create each nail a masterpiece. I can hardly wait. Soft pastels or vibrant hues, each tells a tale in their artistry of nails. Nothing ever fails. With each swirl and twirl, let the magic begin in this kingdom of gloss. There's no end to the wind. Gloss on my fingertips, watch them shine bright. Painted like a canvas, colors taking flight. Feeling fierce and fabulous, I'm ready to ignite. Slaying the nail game every single night. Nails and beauty talk with Asia the bird. Nails and beauty talk with Asia the bird.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nails and Beauty Talk. I am your host, Asia the Bird. Today, we have a very special guest with us today. She is a nail artist. Please welcome Quetel. Hello, Quetel, and how are you?
I am good, Asia. Thank you so much for asking. Thank you for having me, most
Yes.
importantly. But I'm doing well.
Yeah, it's great to hear. That's great to hear. So, I want to go ahead and kick things off by asking where you're originally from and tell us a little about your upbringing, school, things like that.
Okay, so I am an island gal. And usually what happens is once I start to speak, I need to remind myself to slow down. Because of our accent, it could be pretty hard to understand exactly what I'm saying. So I'm going to try to slow it down just a bit. But I was born and raised on one of the beautiful islands of the Bahamas, one that is pretty much nearest to the state of Florida. The
Hmm.
plane ride is about 25 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, so being born and raised in Freeport, Grand Bahama, most of my life.
Hmm.
For me, I'm the middle child. What else can I say? I'm the middle child. I'm the troubler. But I always say middle children, we are special. But yeah, so being raised here in the Bahamas, as far as the industry goes, I've been in the industry, I think now about 20, my second daughter, she's 26. For exactly 26 years, I've been in the nail industry. And so when
Hmm.
it comes to schooling, with regards to that aspect of the question, I never really had any formal training, I would say. To be quite transparent, me getting in the industry and taking that on as a profession was one that started really and truly when I was a child. It's just doing my friends and doing their moms' nails and stuff like that. But what happened is I wasn't able to finish high school because I would have had my two daughters while in high school, so I was unable to finish. I
Hmm.
was taking up cosmetology, but it's so ironic that I was more comfortable in the hair aspect of the business, but I always had a love for the nail part of it. And so, pretty much once I got pregnant with my second daughter and wasn't able to finish high school, my mother was like, "You need a job. That's what you
Right.
need." And so she
Yeah.
went and she got me a job at a local nail salon. And so 26 years later, here I am.
All right. Wow. I want to
Hmm.
get into as far as you having your own nail business. So you have your own nail business when you're taking clients and things of that
Hmm.
nature. So tell us about your nail business, some of the services that you offer.
So the nail business that I have now, I've always been in. What I offer would be acrylic. That's my specialty.
Hmm.
And in the West, as far as the Caribbean is concerned, that is a number one system for us, acrylic, right? And so I specialize in acrylic nails, basically all shapes. Art is something that I love. Um, However, I am diving into the gel hemisphere, but my
Mm-hmm.
specialty, first and foremost, is acrylic application with designs.
Mm. Yeah, that's
Hmm.
incredible because your work is absolutely clean and flush. Like your attention to detail is like stellar. It is absolutely stellar. So just as far as like nail art, like I want to get into as far as just what the nail artistry. So where do you find inspiration?
Inspiration pretty much comes from everywhere right now. I think you would agree that we are so bombarded and overloaded, with creativity. I
Yeah.
find that I am not, to be quite honest, as creative as I can be
Mhm.
here in the Bahamas. And I would say I wouldn't just limit it to us, but I find that people, it's hard to actually execute or embrace your own style of creativity because so much
Yeah.
people are influenced by what they see, right?
Right.
So when it comes to creativity, it's basically what is happening in social media. I follow so many amazing artists, both locally and internationally. So being
Right.
inspired by their work, the Pinterest boards never fail.
Mhm.
I'm a
Yeah,
lover
yeah, yeah.
of all things abstract. So
Yeah, me
when it
too.
comes to, yeah, the abstract, the amazing artists that we have globally.
Yeah.
And then just sometimes I could be randomly, Asia, like at a store, and I see a pattern of a shirt on a shirt that someone has on. It's like, ma'am, I could take a picture of your shirt, please. So
Right.
it comes from everywhere, really.
Yeah, I'm the same way as far as just with my nail art and especially just art in general. Like you get inspiration anywhere, like from nature,
Mm-hmm.
bugs, or something that you see on the ground, or like on a house or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. So
Yes.
inspiration can be anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
I want to get into as far as your own nail products. So you have your own filing bits, and you also have an e-nail course. So tell us about your e-nail course.
Yeah, so the email course is just covering the basics, the basics of cuticle prep, shaping, application. That's it. We don't go into, any artwork or anything like that. And I find that more or less mainly for beginners or for those who just need to tighten up skill in terms of technique and application. I find that that was an area of the industry that I could have
Hmm.
really fit into as far as e-courses. And so what we did was we just packaged that in such a way where just diving into it. It's very practical, it's very straightforward. And yeah,
Right.
we just thought that it was beneficial, especially when it comes to what people personally was asking me for. Yeah.
Hmm. Now, as
Yeah.
far as like with like the e-filing bits, so what made
Mhm.
you have what was the decision behind having your own e-filing bits and stuff like that?
Well, it definitely was me. So I've been doing training for a while with many of our, I would say, industry leaders internationally,
Hmm.
as far as European experts, that is, in the combined manicure technique,
Hmm.
which is known as the Russian manicure, right?
Hmm.
And what I found was that when I trained, they would train us with three cuticle diamond bits the most. But as you and myself know, and we can agree that the melanin skin is totally different from the Caucasian, right? And so
Right.
it was just me realizing that, okay, when I train and I sit with these folks, or even if I sit in a virtual setting, the client is always one of a lighter skin tone, right? And when I get
Right.
back to
Yeah.
work, it was like, hold on, Quetel, like in between, I do have my foreign clients, my Caucasian clients, but I mostly work on, our native clients, right? The Black
Right.
clients. And
Right.
so I find that our skin texture required more. And so that is really what nudged me
Mm-hmm.
to say, okay, Hutel, look for the more, find for the more, brand the more. And just through diligence and just some intense research, I was able to find. And when I say research, it was a troubleshooting, buying products, trying them out, realizing they wasn't good. And so we were able to
Mm-hmm.
find like a A1 manufacturer. And just by what I needed, we was able to find it and brand that, and we were good to go.
Mhm. Yeah, and I
Hmm.
think that's something that's very interesting, interesting point you brought up because, definitely our skin is different and things like that. Because when I see a lot of videos in regards to like nail prep, regards
Mm-hmm.
to like especially cuticle work is always
Mm-hmm.
on like a lighter skin tone hand,
Yeah. Yeah.
so it's definitely something that it's like what about brown skin,
Yes.
black people's hands and stuff like that, their cuticles, our cuticles, excuse
Mm-hmm.
me, what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying, so you don't see that a
Yeah.
lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And so after so much training, like I said, whether I do it in person or it's
Mhm.
virtual, I just was like, what you tell, like our skin, it requires more, especially once you get that
Right.
technique down back. If you have the tool
Yeah.
to really execute that work to near perfection, then it's like, okay, you're good to go. And so that's what really gave me that nudging to say, well, okay, you could find the product that you need, find the tool that you need, brand that, and then market that in such a way. And so that's where it really came from, me realizing that, okay, there's a need, and
Right.
meeting that need.
Mhm, absolutely,
So
most
yeah.
definitely. So I want to get
Mm-hmm.
into as far as with the nail industry, as far as the
Mm-hmm.
Bahamas. So
Mm-hmm.
what's the nail industry like in the Bahamas? Is it like a very small community in the Bahamas as far
Um,
as the nail industry?
it is small, but it has grown, I mean, expeditiously as far as COVID is concerned. After COVID or
Mhm.
during COVID, everybody was trying to see, okay, what can my hands do?
Yeah.
And even for those who were doing it part time, they decided after COVID to just leave the 9 to 5 and let me just get into this. And so while the
Mhm.
community is small, I would still say for our population, there are quite a bit of us in the industry. Um,
Mhm.
but if you've ever researched the Bahamas at all, we are a bunch of islands, 700 islands and keys. Not all is inhabited, but
Oh wow.
however, it's not as if you can drive to each island. We would usually have to take a ferry, or most of us we take a flight, right? And our flights are not long. I think the most southern island to get from where I am up north, it would take probably about an hour and a half, if that long.
Oh wow. Okay.
So our population is not big at all. I think our population is somewhere around 500 to
Mhm.
probably 600. I hope I'm not wrong, but either which way. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's really small. However, just based on that amount of people, our nail tech community, I would say we are about between the 500 and 1,000 of us.
Mm. Because
Mm-hmm.
I find it very interesting because I didn't know there was that many islands. I have a
Mm-hmm.
friend that I went to art school with that's from the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I thought it was like one island. I didn't know it was
Yeah.
like 700, like all them islands.
Yeah. It's many and absolutely beautiful. If you ever get a chance to visit, just the sand, the sun, the sea, the air, everything is just so different.
Hmm. I want to get into
Yeah.
as far as just with nail business. So, for
Mm-hmm.
anyone who wants to have their own nail business, so what are some important tips you could provide for someone who wants to, say if they got, the skill, in terms of like different services, nail tech wise, and they
Mm-hmm.
want to say, hey, I want to open up my own nail studio or business. So, what are some important tips you could provide for that?
I think definitely it would be a matter of just finding out first and foremost, what is your niche? What are you bringing to the table to offer, right? This is an industry where, just like the loaves of bread on the shelf, there are many different brands, but what is it that you would offer that is so different from someone else that's offering the same thing? So definitely finding your niche,
Hmm.
evaluating what is for you and what is not for you. I think in this
Right.
industry, we have a lot of influence in terms of, what we need to charge and what we need to be doing, and, policies and things that we need to set. But I'm a firm
Right.
believer that when I'm going to put a demand on a client, I also have to put a demand on myself.
Hmm.
I don't believe in being expensive, but not giving clients that value. So I definitely would say, definitely find your niche. I would
Yeah.
say do your due diligence and making sure that when it comes to what you are going to demand from the clients, that you are willing to supersede that as the service provider. That's two important aspects for me.
What are your favorite nail products and what is your favorite nail shape?
Stiletto. Definitely a good stiletto. However,
Hmm.
I do have to settle with the almond. So stiletto would be my go-to. But almond would be
Mhm.
my right next to the stiletto, because honestly, the stiletto on a daily is not functional for everyone, right?
Yeah,
So
right.
yeah, if I had a choice, it would be the stiletto though.
Yeah, yeah, the stiletto. I feel like that's a popular nail shape. I was
Yeah,
interviewing MJ Nails, and she likes the stiletto. And they look really
yeah.
good on her. And I like the sleekness of a stiletto too.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I feel like when it comes to the artwork on the stiletto, I don't know, it's just something different about it. I think from going to that broad and just like that nice narrow tip, and just being able to keep that nail nice and slender on a stiletto,
Yeah,
is the key thing for me, because I find that when you put on a square, when you have to add now different layers to a square, you tend to get that bulk. But for some reason, for me and a stiletto, I'm able to keep that refined shape. So stiletto would always be my go-to.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to get into as far as just like nail products. What is like some of like your favorite nail products to use, like on clients, yourself?
So if I be honest, I am not a nail wearer at all. I don't wear them. Asia, they get in my way.
Yeah,
I
me neither.
always have.
I don't wear them either.
No, but mind you, I love seeing it. I love doing it. Even now, like what is on me right now, I sort of have this finger that is my I call this my dependent. But even now, as I have on this color, it's only because I did a training a few weeks ago, one of the combined manicure training. So that's where this color comes from. But other than
Yeah.
that, I don't wear it at all. But when it comes to products that I love, the list is long. So, but however, my number one, I feel like I have different products that I love, of course, for different reasons. So my number one go-to when it comes to the acrylic system is hands down Ugly Duckling. It's a
Mm,
Canadian-based company,
mhm.
and I've been connected with them now as an educator and an ambassador. They call us family members, for the past since 20, I want to say 2017. Since
Okay.
2017, or yeah, 2018, I've been with them. And so that's the system that I've been using
Mhm.
for the last 7, 8 years. Um, 9, 8, yeah. So for the last 9 years,
Uh-huh.
I have just found this company in Hype, and then nail spiracy is those two that they'll be my go-to, like for the gel aspect of it.
Right.
Amazing products, for especially for the
Mhm.
fact that I'm now diving more into the combined manicure and that nice finished clean natural look. So those two would be my top two favorites for the gel aspect: nail spiracy and then in Hype. And then, like I
Okay.
said, Ugly Duckling products, hands down for me, including their tools and brushes.
Hmm. Yeah, that's really,
Hmm.
really amazing. That's cool. I
Yeah.
want to get into as far as just with your thoughts of the nail industry, just in general, in your perspective.
Mhm.
What are some things you like about the nail industry, but also, in what ways do you think the nail industry could be improved on?
Definitely, there's always right improvements that can be made, but one of my big visions is to be able to bring the international community together, right? And I mean
Yeah.
just nail techs, because you would be
Mhm.
amazed, Asia, by how much the North and the East inspires the West, right? And so when I say
Right.
the North and the East, what I'm referring to is the US, who's up north of the Caribbean, right? And then the East, as far
Right.
as Europe is concerned. And I have a strong desire to bring all of that together. I definitely think that what needs to improve in the industry globally is recognition.
Yeah.
I am a nail artist who find it hard. I almost just get offended, Asia. Like when I have to see a celebrity or someone dressed to the nine, when they mention their
Yeah.
clothes, their bag, their hair,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
makeup. But I
Yeah.
mean,
Exactly. Yeah. Mhm.
for me, it's like, okay, friend, I see you got your red on. Who do them? So I get a bit touchy
Right.
feely. I get in my
Yeah. Exactly.
feelings when we're not
Yeah.
recognized, and it's not just me personally. If I
Right.
know Asia, not even having to know you personally, but if I know Asia being that bad artist, and I know that she did those settings, but she was not recognized, it's like, come on. So I definitely think that we
Exactly.
can do we can do a better job in
Right.
demanding in some way or form that we are seen. Um, I think that right now, with the help of social media, of course, social media has literally like changed us in so many ways and brought so much things to light. I think that when we as individuals find our niche and we realize what we need,
Hmm.
it's important that we do our due diligence to make sure that we are following for our needs, right, and for our growth. I think that a lot of times in this industry we can get sort of like lost with the fact that we are so inundated with, everything from everywhere. And so with the help of social media, I think the growth
Hmm.
that has been happening has been exceptional, because I don't just have to be tied to following one person or needing one person, but globally,
Yeah.
I have access to everyone and everything. But I would
Yeah.
say definitely when it comes to the growth of the industry, I wish that there was a way where, globally, internationally, that we could connect.
Hmm. I can agree with that because I think just
Mm-hmm.
all over the world, especially artistically and educational wise, like the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
education has grown just on a global scale.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about like cuticle prep or like marketing or like, simple as like nail polishing, with
Mm-hmm.
gel and things like that, not just nail art in itself. I think definitely, I like how just all over the world, we're inspired in different ways. And, when I first got into nail art, I was inspired by the nail artists in Europe. You know what I mean? People that were competing in nail Olympia or like different nail competitions, and me looking at covers of Vogue, in the competition
Mm-hmm.
section in the pages of Vogue, not Vogue, but
Mm-hmm.
Nail Pro. Excuse me, I said Vogue. Uh,
Yeah.
Nail Pro. Looking at Nail Pro magazine and looking at the competition section of Nail Pro. You know what I'm saying? So, it's really, really inspiring, and it opens your eyes like to the possibilities just artistically. And I was like,
Yes.
wow, you can do nails like that, like the flat art, box with the 10 nails and the artist all across the nails and whatever. You know what I mean? So looking at pages of, just Nail Pro Nails magazine, that's what drove me into being inspired, and just doing nail art, being a nail artist. I'm more of a nail artist than a nail tech.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is that with just the industry, I like how much it's grown as far as education. Definitely there is some miseducation also too as well. The thing also too is also cattiness. There's also racism in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, us as nail pros, nail artists, personal artists should have more credit as far as the celebrity sphere,
Mm-hmm.
because yeah, definitely us giving us more credit as far as the celebrity sphere, because we're not given as much credit. I mean, like
Yeah.
how you said, they tag the nail art, not the nail artist, they tag the makeup artist, stylist, the hairstylist, what fashion they wearing.
Mm-hmm.
We at the bottom of the list, so it's like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
so it's like what's going on here? So I think definitely nail pro should be given more credit.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I mean, for me, it's to realizing that, okay, if a space is not made for you, then make the space that is for, and then make the space that is for you.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times, like I know for me, I just had to make sure that, okay, you tell, do your due diligence to remain authentic, and you would stand out. And so
Right.
that has truly been a game changer for me. Not trying to change to, conform. If I have to adapt, I would, but conforming and adapting is two different things. And
Yeah.
so, just being true and authentic to self. I think when you do that, you demand the attention sometimes that you're not even looking for. You demand that recognition. And so, yeah.
Mhm. How do you juggle being a businesswoman with life and mental health?
Mm. Ooh. Oof. So here's what I do, and this is real. Every now and then, and I learned this from LeBron James years ago when it was time for the playoffs. He literally used to shut down every social media platform that he uses. That's Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is. And what he would do is just go black. Like he would have this black screen, this black post, or this his profile picture would just show black. And so he did that to zone in and to focus. And so sometimes, Asia, what I do is I black out, you know,
Mhm.
um, I black out and I take a break because, again, the business almost demands that you're present on social media in order to be successflike that's a
Right.
demand,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so especially if you're doing it on your own. If you're doing it on your own, it could be a bit overwhelmed. And I am Christian, and so I realize that when I become limited in pushing forward, I have to let the limitless one step in. And so I
Yeah.
tend to literally go black. And once I go black, that's me taking a break. Whether that's a week, that's a month, that's 6 weeks, that's 2 months. Asia, if I need a year, I will take it. Definitely
Mm,
when it comes to the mental health side of it, because just managing clients and family and self, all of that can be so overwhelming. I find that what the Lord has done is given me grace in such a way where I'm able to express my emotions and
mm,
my feelings, even down to with my clients. That's one of the
right.
things, people always share with me, like, you're so open and you're so transparent, but I find that that openness and that transparency, while I'm releasing, it's healing someone, and
Right.
so that
Absolutely.
has been an odd way, some would say. I don't always need quiet, because sometimes the most dangerous thing you could do is be by yourself. Just
Right.
being
Yeah.
just being honest. But for
Right.
me, it's what works. Me pouring out,
Right.
and pouring into someone else, it really releases that stress, or me being overwhelmed. And then again, like I say, blacking out and just taking the time that I need to just redirect, my attention, my energy, my efforts, my plans, everything.
Absolutely. I think there, the thing is we live in a realm of social media now, and
Hmm.
with the likes, the views, the followers, the hundreds of thousands, if not the millions, and things like that. Yeah, definitely,
Hmm.
it could be very draining, and things like that. So definitely, it's good to really take a step back and say, okay, let me lock in. Just taking care of myself, or honing in on skills and things of that nature. And I'm glad that, just within the nail industry, there's more talk in regards to mental health, because I think that's not talked about enough.
Hmm.
That's another thing too,
Hmm.
especially whether we're content creators, whether we run a salon, whether we have our own nail studio, have our own product lines, nail supply store, whatever it is. I think that mental health, just in general, could be talked about a lot more.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree. And the aspect of it that can be talked about is the slow but steady race that you have to
Yeah,
run to be successful. We tend to see things packaged in seconds. Somebody talk about their dream of opening a nail salon, and they open a nail salon and they have this big grand opening, but nobody shows, when the crickets are cricketing. You
yeah,
know
yeah,
what
yeah,
I
right.
mean?
The behind the
Yeah.
scenes, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, no, nobody shows the after. And I think like that's one
Yeah,
thing that can be viewed even more. It can be acknowledged or
yeah.
seen, just to give people that heads up that, hey, this thing takes time.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Most definitely. Totally. Last but not least, where can people find you on social media, and how can people book with you and support you, and, things that you're doing?
So, with social media, my website is convoqsignature.com. As far as the Instagram, because Instagram is where I am most active. That would be
Mhm,
Quetel Deveaux underscore, which is
mhm.
QUETELDEVEAUX underscore. So there is where they'll be able to find my work. As far as booking, because I do sometimes when I go in my DM, I have a lot of people, hey, I'm traveling to the Bahamas. I want you to do my nails. For right now, just because of me being the manager, the secretary, the nail tech, the nail artist, the therapist, the wife, the mummy. I'm not
Yeah.
taking on new clients. So as far as the schedule being
Okay.
open, I have that at a standstill. And I could just plug
Okay.
this in, Asia, just for a quick minute. I think it's so
Okay.
important for us to recognize when we have enough on our plate. We
Yeah.
we get
Right. Right.
so
Mhm.
overwhelmed and having the strong desire to be booked and busy, but we have to
Right.
know when, okay, I have to close the door just for a minute. And so that was a decision that I
Mhm.
had to make for my mental health, which is one of the questions that you asked, for my family, for my children,
Right.
just for
Right.
my future. I
Absolutely.
had to put a stop on, okay, you tell, deal with the clients that you have, pause on accepting new clients, manage what you have. And if you could take more, then you take more on. And so for right
Right.
now, my schedule has been closed for the last couple of years. I have been able
Oh,
to
okay.
take one or two
Okay.
in, but I have had it closed
Okay.
for the last couple of years. But yeah. So as far as my work is concerned and anything that we're doing, because I do host workshops in the Bahamas, that would always be
Okay.
on Instagram again, Quetel Deveaux _ and on Facebook, I'm also Quetel Deveaux. But for Facebook, it's more of ministry because I do a lot of speaking engagements, motivational speaking,
Wow.
stuff like that. So that's on Facebook. It's Quetel Deveaux. My work and this whole nail industry is here on Instagram, Quetel Deveaux _ And anytime when it comes to products and our e-course, that can be found on our website, which is convocusignature.com.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. Well, thank you so much, Quatel, for jumping on. I appreciate this conversation. This is absolutely a lot of fun to chat with you and hear your
Yes.
story and experience and insight as well. So I wish you the best of luck with everything. And, and it is absolutely great to see people like yourself to educate the next generation of nail pros, to get into the industry. You know what I mean? So, just stay authentically yourself and just thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Asia. Thank you for having me, and God bless you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Take care. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to click the bell for notifications. Also, follow me on my social media platforms and be on the lookout for more interviews to come very soon. Take care and stay beautiful.